Welcome back, my DIY nomads. I'm very excited because we've actually got some blue sky, yes! And today I'm fitting this ladder to my back door so I can get to the roof quicker, because having a high roof van has its advantages, but also makes it very tricky to get into the roof to check on my solar panel, to do anything up there. So I'm doing this because then this will give me easy access to the roof, and then I'm planning on actually changing the roof rack again, because I want the solar panel to come down much lower so it's not like proper high off the roof. I just want to keep my profile lower, as low as possible. So my first job is I'm going to remove these panels. That gives me an idea of, based on where the ladder is going, what sort of connections I need to do and what size holes I need to drill. Remember kids, don't litter. The great thing is this kit is very simple. So we have 2 adhesive rubber strips, 2 just sort of flat bar cutouts, 2 U-brackets, and then we've got 4 of these little doodads, a bunch of nuts and bolts. These are like the extenders if I have a double wall, but I don't have a double wall, I just need to go through a single wall, so don't need those. So what I need to do is firstly apply these to the backs of these. Next I need to basically take the U-bracket and bolt on these 2 parts. So I've got 2 of them, so I need to make 2 of these, and I need to just bolt them through here so that the ladder bolts to here and here on both sides. And here's one I did earlier. So now I've got all the parts bolted on. It's gone bolt, washer, washer, nut for every single one, and there's 2, one here and one on the side, for each point where this U-bracket joins the ladder. I have also managed to put the dot marks on where I need to drill. That for sure was would have definitely been easy with 2 people, because I had to hold it against the door so it wouldn't slip, and then try and draw through each hole. So, but we got there. So now I just need to drill the holes. And just before you do this, put the ladder back on, check where the holes are, and just check twice before you do any drilling or cutting. And then I've gone as far as to also visually inspect, sort of in line, where the holes are going, because I don't want it to obviously cut in through somewhere like this where there's lots of like mechanisms behind and I can't access it. So try and make sure that it's cutting through in one of these sort of open pockets here. I'm also going to cut a much smaller hole first before I cut the big hole, because this will be easier to keep in the centre of where I need to get the hole in, and also this will act as a guide hole for the bigger drill bit. I think my 8mm drill bit has been a bit dulled down, because it's just not wanting to cut through the steel, so I'm going to have to go out and get a new one, which is a shame. So I actually managed to go into my shed and I found another 8mm drill bit, so I managed to get these holes drilled out. So all I need to do now is, what I do is the flat plates that I showed you before, those long flat plates, they go on the back here, and then the ladder goes on the other side and you put the bolts through. I'm just trying to work out the easiest way to do that because I'm on my own. Just before I put on the ladder, what I am going to do though is put some of that sort of like Unibond or one of those sealants just around the edge of the hole, because I like the idea of covering up all that raw metal, just because it increases the longevity, like reduces the risk of rust. So what I've done is I've just put these 2 nuts on the bolts on the top loosely, just to hold the ladder in place. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to put on the plate and then the bolts. I just wanted to do it this way around so that it was sort of mounted in place and it would be easier for me to fully mount without it sort of maybe slipping out or, I don't know, falling off and scratching the paint. The ladder is now mounted, but the final job I need to do is just tighten up all these bolts so that the ladder doesn't wobble around. One other thing I wanted to talk about just before we end the video today was I just wanted to give you guys a little update on my Wallas XC Duo. I really am liking it, and I am really chuffed that I made the purchase. I still know that it cost me about 1,500 quid, but I'm not looking at it that way as the immediate outwards cost. I'm looking at it more as it's an investment. If I have this in here, if it really is that expensive, it's just going to increase the sale value when I sell the van in the future. So that is an advantage there. Also, I wanted to talk to you about running costs and figures that I've found out. I was actually chatting to one of you about this. I think his name's Stefanos, and I was actually just got into the subject of working it all out, how much it's costing me per hour based on current fuel prices, etc. yada yada. And I was really surprised with the results. So I'll just quickly get these up on my phone. So what I wrote for Stefanos was that currently the Wallas on max chuff, that is setting number 6, just so you know, uses 0.19 litres of diesel per hour in its lower setting number 1. I'm guessing it's number 1 because that's the lowest. It uses 0.09 litres per hour, and that's really good. It actually, when you compare it to an Erbesbacher heater, this actually it uses less fuel and less electricity for more of a heat wattage output. So I think I worked it out. It was another person actually I think I worked it out with. So the Erbesbacher managed to produce, I think, at maximum 2200 watts of heat power, whereas the maximum this can produce is 1900. So I had to compare it to the Erbesbacher's 1800 watt high setting compared to this Wallas's max chuff setting. And for 0.19 litres per hour of diesel, this produces 1900 watts of heat and uses very little electricity, whereas the Erbesbacher uses 0.22 litres per hour and produces 1800 watts of heat and uses a little bit more electricity, but it's still negligible. Other figures that I wanted to also talk to you about was that because based on the current fuel prices, at max chuff this thing is using 23.29 pence per hour to run. That is basically based on 0.19 litres per hour, compared to UK diesel prices on average right now, which I think is about 122. This is obviously going to change worldwide. Like wherever you are, it's going to be different because every country seems to have different fuel prices. So if you live somewhere where was it? I got really cheap fuel. I think it was like Austria or something like that, where it was dirt cheap. Then you're going to be running this. If you run it on setting 1, which would cost you 11p per hour in the UK, if you run it in somewhere like Andorra, the diesel prices are like half the price they are here. So it's so cheap to run this when it's on diesel. Now, if you were to compare that to a propane cooker, for instance, like one of those single hob ones you get for camping or something like that you would put in here, I mean, obviously it's going to be a lot cheaper, but it's not going to add value to your van. It's just going to be a camping cooker you have. But this is what I was comparing it to because that's what Stefanos asked me to compare it to. They're going to cost you about 15 quid to buy, very cheap, I know. And then apparently on average they burn about 150 grams of propane per hour. So a 500 gram one would last you 3.333333 hours. And you can pick up 6 for 20 quid. So at 3.33 hours per can times by 6, you're getting 19.98 hours of cooking for 20 quid. So you are looking at you're looking at 1 quid per hour compared to at this lowest cost 11p. So almost a tenth of the price to run this Wallas compared to one of those propane cookers. I think that's really impressive. And also the fact is this doesn't just cook your food, it's also a heater. And then on the Erbesbacher side, it's not just a heater, it also cooks your food. and it's not like you have to do a different setting to switch it between. You can just instantly choose whether you want it to be a cooker or a heater. I'm not gonna, don't worry, I haven't been hired by Wallas. I'm not secretly hidden into their sales group now. This isn't a paid promotion at all, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I am super chuffed with it. And yeah, sorry for the long rant, but I hope those figures are really useful to some of you and help you make your decision. I'm going to see if there are some ways that I can speed up cooking times, because I know that was a killer for some of you, how long it took to boil water or cook or something like that. But I'm going to see what I can do. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. You DIY nomads are all so bloody epic. So just massive thanks from me, and I'll catch you guys next week.